What if Ned Stark lived and went to war with the Lannisters? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Ned blinks several times, trying to clear the light from his eyes. When his vision comes into focus, he spots thousands of eyes on him. It seems like all of King's Landing has arrived to watch him confess. His throat feels dry, and his voice is weak from captivity, but he somehow hears everything amidst the roar of the city.
I am Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell and Hand of the King. I come before you to confess my treason in the sight of gods and men. I betrayed the faith of my king and the trust of my friend Robert. I swore to protect and defend his children, but before his blood was cold, I plotted to murder his son and seize the throne for myself.
Ned hears the roars of the crowd, condemning him and calling him a traitor, among other vile things. The Sept of Baelor looms behind him, along with the High Septon, Queen, and the usurper, standing safely behind their Lannister guardsmen. He's made his confession. The words of treason hang heavy in the air, thick with a taste of defeat. Yet he bears it for Sansa's sake. Joffrey, looking down on Ned with a gleam of satisfaction, draws a breath to speak when a voice cuts through the crowd. As promised, he will allow Ned to take the Black and spend the rest of his life in the Night's Watch.
I'll take him. I'm Yoren of the Night's Watch, a wandering crow in search for recruits. It seems I have one more.
The crowd stirs as the man steps forward. Although stoop-shouldered and haggard, the worn black cloak of the Night's Watch caught the light and forced the crowd to part. He takes Ned roughly and guides him away from the crowd.
There's someone you ought to see first, Lord Stark.
Yoren leads Ned through the winding alleys of King's Landing to a small, weather-worn inn. Inside, the sounds of low chatter and clinking tankards greet them as dozens of Yoren's recruits are preparing for their journey. Ned's breath comes to a halt as he sees Arya sitting alone. When she spots her father, she runs up and embraces him, but Yoren stops them and gestures to an empty back room. Nodding, Ned guides her away, but once they are alone, he eagerly returns the gesture, feeling tears sting his eyes as he looks at her. The tension in his chest eases seeing his daughter, dirty and messy, but alive. Once alone, Arya recounts her escape in hurried whispers, the massacre that took place, and how she managed to slip away from the palace. Ned's face grows grim as he hears all this, but does not seem surprised.
Arya, you've done well. I'm so proud of you. But what about Sansa and the Lannisters?
She's still in the Red Keep.
I can take you and the girl to Winterfell or Riverrun, but I cannot help you rescue your other daughter.
I understand. The Night's Watch is neutral in these conflicts, but we shall not be walking. I had chartered a ship to take my daughters back to the north. It is still there, and will take you north.
Us? You're not going too?
No. I've shamed myself by accepting their gift of mercy. Arya, I understand that this is difficult for you, but I've allowed a great wrong to pass by confessing treason, so I must see it undone.
Are you going to war, father?
I'm afraid so.
Just promise me you'll come back with Sansa, and you'll make the Lannisters pay.
Ned allows himself to smile as he pats her head. Soon their small party departs for the Wind Witch. The Stark guards there are quick to let them through once they see Ned. As promised, they leave King's Landing unharmed. But as it nears Dragonstone, a rowboat is lowered for Ned and his guardsmen to depart to the island. They are quickly captured by the royal fleet, where Ned demands to be brought before Stannis. The king is surprised to see Lord Eddard, much less from a rowboat, and is displeased to hear about his confession. Ned explains that he did so to save the lives of his children, but he is here because he wishes to offer his services to him, as he knows Stannis is the rightful king.
You put me in a difficult position, Stark. A fortnight ago, your offer would have been a boon, but now you're a confessed traitor. How would it look if I were to sail with the man who betrayed my brother? Like a fool to many, but a man of justice to others. You've forgiven men for crimes in the past, Would you be willing to condemn a man you knew as innocent?
I see prison hasn't dulled your senses. You're right. I am no Cersei or Littlefinger. I know what justice means. And perhaps there is something you can help me with. Though the Lannisters and their toadies believe you're treason, some know better. You're loved in the North and Riverlands. Everyone in the Stormlands knows of you and Robert's friendship. Perhaps it might win back the supporters from the usurper.
The Lannisters have already gained the Stormlands.
You've been in prison longer than I thought. Much has changed. You liberated Riverrun from the Lannisters and have Tywin trapped in Harrenhal. Meanwhile, Renly has fled to Storm's End. Some say he intends to crown himself. If I'm to become king, I will need the North, the Stormlands, and whoever I can get.
What would you have me do?
Talk to them. Convince whoever you can to join my cause.
Ned agrees, and is made master of law in Stannis' small court. The first thing he does is write to Robb, informing him of his and Arya's escape, the incest between Cersei and Jaime, and his alliance with Stannis. Hearing that his father is alive and that they have an ally in Stannis, the Northmen are overjoyed. Rather than declare Robb king in the North, they instead declare themselves kingsmen and agree to fight for Stannis. He then accompanies Davos across the Stormlands to begin courting the lords there, with Ned accompanying him in the promise of a northern army. More of the nobility are open to supporting Stannis. When he returns, he gains the allegiance of House Penrose, Tarth, and Swan. However, the majority of the Stormlands remain loyal to Renly, as he joins forces with the Tyrells. When he returns, Ned is greeted by a new member of Stannis' inner circle, the Red Priestess, Melisandre. The council chamber in Dragonstone is dimly lit, the flicker of firelight casting shadows across the gathered faces. Stannis Baratheon sits at the head, his hard gaze fixed on the map spread across the table. Around him, his counselors are gathered, Melisandre, Selyse, and Alex Florent on one side, while Davos Seaworth and Ned Stark stand on the other.
The lords of the Stormlands hesitate to support their true king, swayed by Renly and his promises. Yet we've taken a foothold with the Tarth, Penrose, and Swan, and I intend to move before Renly strengthens his hold with the Tyrells.
Your Grace, if I may suggest, we should sail north to Maidenpool and the Saltpans. There we can link up with the Riverlords and my bannermen. Together you would command an army large enough to take King's Landing.
And have His Grace surrender his victory to you. These men swear fealty to you, Lord Stark. When they march, they will do so in your name. What will the rest of the Seven Kingdoms say to that?
They will march in the name of the true king, Melisandre. That I swear.
You've sworn much recently, Lord Stark. Just as you swore you conspired to kill King Robert.
That, my lady, was a confession born out of duress. It holds no weight. My word here is loyalty.
Enough. Ned Stark is a member of my small council, and I shall tolerate no insults about his integrity, lest you suggest I would allow my brother's murderer into my halls. And yet, she speaks true. The North will follow you, Ned, but they answer you before they do me. If I am to secure my throne, I need my own forces.
There is a simpler path, Your Grace. The flames show me two futures. One where you march on King's Landing only to be defeated by your own brother Renly. The other where you sail to Storm's End and take it in the name of your cause. When Renly dies outside those walls, his forces will flock to you.
With Tarth, Penrose, and Swan's men combined with those you have here, we still do not have the numbers to take Storm's End. Renly's army is far greater now that he has the Tyrells at his side.
When Renly dies, his men will see the truth. Their true king stands before them. I have seen it.
You speak of reaping the rewards before you sow the seeds. Does your Lord of Light explain how we shall achieve this victory?
The Lord of Light will shine the way to those who believe.
We sail for Storm's End, and I will take it one way or another.
Ned's mouth tightens.
May I at least tell my son about your plans? That way he may send soldiers in support of your cause.
Very well.
As the meeting concludes, he catches Davos's eye, and a wordless exchange of caution passes between them. Unfortunately, the one-time smuggler is called away to spread the word of Cersei's incest, leaving him alone. Ned writes to Catelyn, requesting a small contingent of troops from Robb's army, but he also requests that she try to negotiate and get terms from Renly. As they still have much to prepare for, Catelyn will arrive before them and allow them to meet with Renly. A mixed force of Riverland and Northmen are split off from Robb's army and march with Catelyn and a few lordlings. But while the army marches through the Stormlands, Catelyn breaks off to meet with Renly at Bitterbridge. However, their negotiations fall apart as Renly refuses to accept Stannis' claim, even with the North and Riverlands backing him. The youngest Baratheon is confident in his ability to defeat them, as he still outnumbers them with the Tyrells by his side. By this time, Renly had received word that Stannis had landed in Storm's End and had it under siege. He immediately takes all his cavalry ahead to confront Stannis, as he still outnumbers his brother by 2 to 1. By the time they arrive, Stannis' army is hard at work preparing for a siege. They've created earthwork barricades and sharpened stakes in preparation for the attack from Renly's army. But as their army lines up and prepares for battle, both of them try to make peace. Yet their words yield no peace. Renly demands submission, Stannis demands fealty, and as their terms fall apart, the battle begins. Stannis' forces stand at attention, a wall of determined soldiers framed by the makeshift earthworks, sharpened stakes, and barricades they have raised under the looming shadow of Storm's End. Renly's cavalry surges forward, a tidal wave of steel and banners. The entire chivalry of the south crashes against Stannis' defenses, and for a moment, it seems as if the stakes and earthworks will not hold. Spears splinter, shields buckle, and the line wavers. Above them, arrows rain down on the advancing cavalry. Most bounce off their armor, but a few find their mark, and men are thrown back. The Crownlanders and Stormlanders in Stannis' force struggle, the horses of Renly's knights pushing them back to the brink, but it takes everything from the Southlanders for it. Renly commits his entire force as the charging knights find themselves mired, forced to fight on foot amid the sharpened barricades as their horses have no room to maneuver. As Renly's troops are fully engaged, a horn sounds from the woods, sharp and clear. In an instant, Ned Stark's forces, hidden on the edge of the battlefield, emerge in a full charge. The Northmen and Riverlanders from houses Manderly, Flint, Frey, Mallister, and Blackwood, led by Ned. They strike Renly's forces on the exposed left, where Bryce Caron has command. The blow strikes like a hammer, sending the knights into panic as they find themselves bunched up together, being pressed from all sides. The shock of the attack spreads through Renly's lines, and his men falter, unprepared for the ferocity of the Northmen's assault. The Riverland soldiers press hard, their shields locking in unison as they push Renly's forces back. Seeing this, Stannis' troops rally and rush forward. Confusion ripples through Renly's lines as men stumble and retreat, the resolve of his army shattering under the coordinated assault. Renly's forces begin to break, falling back in disorder. Some rally briefly, but these pockets are quickly overwhelmed. Among these groups is a large band led by Renly and surrounded by his Rainbow Guard. But as their troop flees all around them, they have no choice but to surrender. While some nobles like the Tyrells, Rowans, and Tarleys make their escape, others like Florent, Fossaway, and most of the Stormland houses pledge allegiance to Stannis. Soon, Stannis stands before his brother, Renly, who is forced into his tent alongside him and his other knights.
Kneel, Renly. Swear fealty to your rightful king and I may let you live.
So, this is your great victory, brother? Days ago you were so desperate for allies you sent a woman to bargain on your behalf.
What woman?
Lady Stark. Sent by her noble husband to court my support, and attempted a peace offering no less. You didn't know? It seems you don't control your court as well as you think.
Is this true, Stark?
I sought only to prevent needless bloodshed. Renly and I discussed the terms of a truce in hopes of sparing lives.
It is as I said. Lord Stark seeks not to help you secure your crown, but to usurp you.
You presume to speak of peace in my name, without my knowledge. I am your king, Stark, not some lord you can bargain for.
I did what I believed to be right for the realm. You're just a man, Stannis, and there is no man as condemned as a kingslayer. If peace can be won without destroying your brother, then it should be taken.
But all around him, Queen's men rally to Melisandre's side. They shout how Ned is an unbeliever, calling for him to be burned. Even Sir Axel and Selyse voice their support.
My lord, you cannot allow such arrogance to go unpunished. If word of this should get out, then how many more lords will attempt to do the same? You overstep your place, Stark. My command is not yours to interpret. Take Lord Stark into custody.
The next few days are chaotic as the siege of Storm's End continues. Although things seemingly appear normal, a silent war goes on between the Queen's men and the warriors of the North and Riverlands. They had ridden out to save Ned and pledged their swords to him because Ned believed in them. Now that same king holds him prisoner, and many clamor for his freedom, threatening to storm the stockades by force if necessary. Meanwhile, the Queen's men are equally furious as they believe that Ned is trying to undermine Stannis and become the power behind the throne. They call for Stannis to burn Ned and Renly as warning to those who will defy the king. There are even fears of a battle breaking out between both sides. As they reach a boiling point, two people reach out to Stannis, Sir Davos and Catelyn Stark. The Lady of Winterfell initially tries to remind Stannis that most of his men aren't followers of R'hllor. They are worshippers of the Seven or the Old Gods. To burn even traitors would be an abomination to them. But Stannis is unfazed, saying that they are traitors. Even if they will not burn, they will be executed. Seeing how this doesn't work, Davos speaks up.
Your Grace, I've seen you show mercy before, against those who wronged you far more than Lord Eddard. Those lords who rallied their banners were just days ago working to kill you, yet Ned Stark has risked everything for you. He brought you word of treachery instead of returning home with his daughter. He sailed by my side, rallying lords who would have otherwise joined your brother. He stayed by your side even as Ironborn terrorized his homeland. Bring him in.
Moments later, Ned stands before Stannis, his face unreadable. Stannis studies him.
Lord Stark, you defied my authority and acted on your own terms. That is a slight I cannot overlook. However, I cannot forget the great services you've done for me. I will not have you executed, but neither can I trust you to serve in my council. Thank you, Your Grace. My only wish now is to return home, but a word of advice, if I may. If people are to know the truth of the Queen's relations, it will not be done by looking into flames or praying to strange gods. You've sown the seeds, but they will only sprout with proof. Proof that she's a liar, and you are the honest and just. Indeed. I've thought long and hard about that. Your advice has been noted. One more thing. The North suffers under the Ironborn. If you mean to win this war and secure your rule, you must help reclaim the North. They will not follow you if left to their fate. I do not intend to abandon my people, Stark. The North will have its justice.
New plans are drafted. As the army prepares to march out to King's Landing, word is sent to Roose Bolton and Edmure Tully to harass Tywin Lannister and try to slow him down until the siege is done. Meanwhile, Ned is to join Weldon Manderly, Robin Flint, and the Northmen, who will be transported to White Harbor by Davos Seaworth. From there, they will retake Moat Cailin. But first, Ned approaches Storm's End on his own to perform one more service for his king. As he approaches, the gates open, and Sir Contre Penrose rides out to meet with him and discuss terms of surrender. Ned offers to let the entire garrison leave unharmed in exchange for the castle and Robert's bastard son, Edric Storm. At first, Sir Contre is reluctant, especially since he is uncertain what Stannis intends to do with the bastard boy. To this, Ned gestures for Renly to be brought forward. The one-time king is brought forward, bound hand and foot. He explains that Stannis won the battle beneath Storm's End and has captured Renly. Despite initially planning on burning him at the stake, Stannis relented and decided to spare him until the war's end so that he may face a proper trial. This assures Sir Contre that Edric shall not be harmed and releases him into their custody, although under the condition that he shall be his protector, which Ned agrees. Ned sails off with his small band of Northmen, leaving Stannis to finish the war. With his army by his side, the King of Dragonstone rides through the south with Edric by his side. showing what a true Baratheon boy looks like. Slowly, more and more people are convinced, and Stannis' support grows as he marches to King's Landing. The walls of King's Landing tremble as Stannis' forces converge, his banner of the flaming heart flying high. Leagues away, Tywin's army is bogged down by the constant raids from the armies of Edmure and Roose. Stannis' march through the Crownlands also raises further support from nearby houses, who further delay Tywin. No help is coming to the capital city. King's Landing is alive with the clang of steel and shouts of soldiers, mixed with the panicked cries of citizens fleeing the carnage. The battle is far from easy, especially with the tricks that Tyrion has planned. His wildfire ravages the fleet, killing thousands and destroying most of the fleet. Meanwhile, his sorties cause horrific casualties to the vanguard. On several occasions, the Hound and several Kingsguard lead these sorties, their brilliant white cloaks acting as beacons of hope for the defenders, rallying them and leaving them fighting to the last. But they can only be in so many places, as while the Blackwater burns, several smoldering ships create a chain of boats and allow them to attack from all sides. But with the strength of the Stormlands, Riverlands, and part of the Reach and Crownlands, the numbers are heavily in their favor. Their efforts are further buoyed by reports that Tyrion Lannister was slain. Soon the gates are breached and troops pour into the city, turning the streets into a festival of blood as Lannister soldiers, gold cloaks, and desperate small folk fight against the invaders, trying to defend their city and preserve their homes as best they can. But the Baratheon advance is like a tidal wave, carving a path towards the Red Keep. In the great hall of the Red Keep, the last defenders gather, desperately preparing for one final stand. The city is falling around them, and there is little they can do. Eventually, the palace is captured, but to their surprise, they find the queen and her children dead, all killed by poison, along with many of the court's women who were executed by ill and pain. As the last of the resistance crumbles, the Baratheon banner unfurls over the Red Keep. With King's Landing fallen, Tywin has nowhere to retreat, forcing his army to surrender. Tywin and his key commanders are all executed. Seeing this, the Tyrells dip their banners and bend the knee to King Stannis, who allows them to remain the rulers of the Reach. Meanwhile, Ned Stark manages to land in White Harbor and marches down Moat Cailin, gathering reinforcements as he does. With no further threats south of the Neck, Robb rides back to attack from the south. This crushes the Greyjoy fleet and allows the Northmen to stream back and retake their lost lands. Winterfell soon falls, and to everyone's relief, Bran, Rickon, and Arya are all found alive and well, having hidden in the Stark family crypts. However, not everything goes well, as Sansa is unfortunately one of the many casualties of the fall of King's Landing. Stannis is soon crowned king with Renly facing his trial. He is eventually found guilty and executed, with Stannis instead granting Storm's End to a legitimized Edric Storm. Ned, meanwhile, retires peacefully back to the north and reunites with his remaining family as Robb and Catelyn soon return from the war. That's our theory. Westeros is a land filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey across the 7 kingdoms and beyond, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.